Hello my fellow Gundies, and welcome to what is season 1 of the game review series. So each year we're going to be bringing out a new season of all things game reviews. So if you're new to the channel, please hit that subscribe button. It's much appreciated. It helps this channel grow and helps me to bring more of these sort of obscure games that you might not have heard of out to the masses out there. So for kickstarting this season, being season 1 guys, we are checking out SD Gundam Battle Alliance for the PlayStation 5. Now I am going to go hard on this game. I'm not going to go easy on it. Being Gundam Rush Gaming, a lot of you people out there might be thinking, oh, this guy's just going to praise it to no end. Oh, no. I am not going to do that to you guys. If the game is a dingo poop, it'll be a dingo poop. If it's a gets the big tick of approval, it'll get the big tick of approval. So with that being said guys, let's kickstart season 1 with SD Gundam Battle Alliance for the PS5. Ooh baby, I'm excited.
The beginning of the game has us going through a number of training style levels. This is where we learn the ropes of attacking, defending, reversals, and even chain breakers. Now personally, I'm never a fan of training levels. I much prefer to be able to learn as I go through the game. I don't like these sort of games where they hold your hand, but thankfully these training stages I found pretty early on weren't required to start getting straight into the first lot of missions. Mission mode is where we get to have all our SD Gundam goodness. Now, very quickly guys, for those that don't know what SD stands for, it stands for super deformed. So these are miniature versions of the full-scale Gundams. And you know, if you want to do a little bit of a comparison here, I guess it would be like the cutesy chibi style characters that you have in the world of Final Fantasy, those sort of smaller cute versions. Mission mode contains a series of directories. So within each of these directories there is a number of levels to complete. As you complete all these levels, you can then advance onto the next directory. In total, there are 7 series of directories opening up the final level of the game. The levels within the directories are broken up into story missions, break missions, and chaos missions as you progress far enough. I really had a lot of fun playing through the story missions, mostly because you had that real history and you got to see like sort of the film clips and discussion pieces within each of the different Gundam series. Absolutely love that, especially with series of Gundam that I've still yet to get around to watching. There's so many Gundam series out there guys. There's just many years of catching up still for me to do even to this day. And then you also had things like the break missions where you often go up against a lot of little mini bosses within each of the levels. One really cool thing that I loved was the fact that each level had its recommended level shown on screen. So if you were looking to complete that level with some comfort without, you know, breaking into too much of a sweat, you would look at a level and see that it was, say, level 30, and you would try and get your Gundams to that stage or very near it to make sure you could complete it with ease. Now, I would always recommend guys, if you're new to playing this game, play it on normal difficulty. It's a big enough challenge, and then once you feel a bit more confident, then obviously try and play it on hard. Now, I will give you one little secret tip. It's not really a spoiler, but if you complete the entire game like I did on hard, you will unlock additional missions that will let you develop your Gundam even further, which we will talk a little bit more on as we go through this review. Now, you can go into levels in 2 ways. You can go in solo and really have a massive challenge on your hands, or you can do probably what is the smartest thing and go in there with your 2 companion pilots. This honestly is the best way to do it in my opinion. There's such a good array of pilots to be had in this game, and something for every Gundam fan. If you're into the classics, you have your Hero, Char Admirable. If you're into that sort of, not so modern Gundams, you have things like Kira Yamato, Athra Zala. And for those that are new or still enjoy the recent Gundam series like me, you have Mikazuki from Iron-Blooded Orphans in there, which is just totally awesome. My go-to pilots, especially if I was going to use him as my second in charge going out there to battle, was often Master Asia. Just super helpful with him in battle, and when he got angry and fired up, he would do some massive damage and help you get through some of the tougher battles out there. With each pilot in the game, you have a relationship system that works on thumbs up. So when you unlock 5 in total from completing missions, you'll get added bonuses thrown in, some of these being more defense, more attack, and these are super helpful for things later on in the game when you're looking to just get through by the skin of your teeth. The story behind the game follows a specialized group of soldiers in the Universal Century's 1 Year War. The group is drawn into what is called the G Universe. The G Universe is a digital replication of the history of the Gundam franchise. The group discovers an unknown force creating havoc on the G Universe, and it's impacting the real world events. The group has to work together in order to stop the mysterious forces changing reality forever. For the most part, I really enjoyed the story elements of this game. It wasn't overly text heavy like a lot of other anime games are. It was just really friendly, especially for newcomers. You won't be lost playing this game, you will pick it up pretty quick. The brief scenes as well between stages were really nicely done, and I felt Sakura and Juno were just so much fun, especially with Haru always seeming to lose his absolute shit at times.
One thing I wanted to talk about was the difficulty within the game, and this is something the game does extremely well. You would start the game, things would be a little bit easy, and as you progress through the levels, things got much harder. But it didn't happen like that. It was something that was progressively getting harder as you went along, and you felt it as each time you went through each directory, there was that next step up. It took longer to get through the enemies, and even though you were leveling up, it did feel like things were getting harder, especially against some of the bosses. I know the Hashmo boss from Iron-Blooded Orphans, oh my fucking god, was that guy a pain in my ass. It was probably one of the hardest bosses I found within the game to go back and try and beat on hard mode, so be prepared for that one there, guys. It is quite the challenge.
Weapons in the game are set up with a main weapon and 2 sub-weapons. You get a real unique set of actions with switching between Gundams and seeing what sort of weapon sets they had and what were most effective. Each Gundam has the ability to do combos, which I am always for. Stringing together some can whoop ass is my sort of game. There's also a number of other actions available. We have aerial attacks that send out enemies flying into the air. It's really great when you juggle them and you hit them with attacks while they're up in the air. It's a lot of fun. We also have action rolls that spend some of our skill meter to use, but these provide special power-ups that add strength for a period of time and other sort of cool things as well. Then we have what is called SPAR, aka special attacks. Once you put up enough SPAR, you or your partners will be able to unleash special big animated attacks. And trust me, Gundies, this never gets old. You'll be trying out various Gundams just to see what their animated actions are. Trust me on this, it is so freaking awesome. Each unique Gundam within the game has its own set of unique weapons, which I found really fun. We also have a number of different Gundam units, so each Gundam can either be put into one of 3 categories, those being an all-rounder, a sharpshooter, or my personal fave, the Infighter. Infighters were my go-to as they were packed with power and quite strong health-wise, and once leveled up, you could just make an absolute unit out of these. Each Gundam can be upgraded through the MS settings on the main menu screen, allowing you to upgrade things like hit points, boost, melee, and ranged attacks. Through containers and enemies scattered throughout levels, you can even unlock uncapping materials. Some of these uncapping materials you will require to finish the game on hard if you're looking to get one of those level 90 Banshees like the one I have here. As of this upload, the current level cap for all Gundams is level 100, and trust me, if you're at level 100, you're going to absolutely breeze through this game. You really can't get to that stage until you've completed the game and finished all the levels on hard and you unlock the extra levels. I must say that when I got towards the end of the game, I did start to get a little bit frustrated and a little bit bored, mainly for the fact of having to go back and replay the same levels over and over and again, for the fact that I pretty much stopped there because I felt like that I was kind of spoiling the review by trying to hit that ultimate sort of level. So later on I will go back and look at that, but yeah, if you're looking to just complete the game, I wouldn't say try and get yourself to level 100 if you want to really enjoy this game, but that being said, you might want to and you might have fun, so this is just my opinion. The sheer amount of Gundams in this game is super impressive. Even 60 hours in like myself, I still have a lot of Gundams still to unlock. These Gundams are unlocked via what is called blueprints, so when you're going through defeating bosses throughout levels, they will drop blueprints, and when you collect enough of that blueprint from that particular Gundam, then it will unlock the Gundam in full. So as I'm scrolling through here, you will see a lot of these darkened out Gundams still have to be unlocked. Some of them might be at 10%, some might be at 80%, just depends on how many pieces I still need to collect. And generally you can get most of the Gundams via repeating the same level a couple of times and you will unlock it, defeating the same boss. But some of them are a little bit more tricky, where you have to go across multiple different levels, across different sorts of stages to unlock that Gundam in full, which made it a little bit more of a strategy thing. Had to go on the old Google to find how I would unlock certain ones as well. So if you're a Gundam fan, you're really going to find the Gundam for you, because there's just so many different Gundams there for everyone. Now, on the topic of boss battles, this is where the game really shines, and it provides just a great challenge, and it's a lot of fun. Reminding me of the old times, and for the older gamers out there, you might remember the series Dynasty Warriors Gundam. That series was freaking awesome, and I loved it to bits. For some people, it might have been a little bit of a hack and slash, and yes, it really was that game, but for me, I just loved it, and this just brought back those sort of memories. Some standouts for the boss battles here, guys, would have to be the Big Zam. Man, that provided some good challenges, especially early on in the game. And then the big blocky Psycho Gundam. That thing is just absolutely massive, and I just really loved to go up against that. It really gave you such a true sense as well, I must say, of feeling small when you're up against those big Gundams. You really felt like that SD factor was really there. There's a nice variety as well of standard enemies throughout the stages, such as classic Jins, Zakus, and Rectums. Rictums. Most levels are usually completed by a number of mini-bosses too. This I just love, something again that reminds me of Dynasty Warriors Gundam. Graphically, the Gundam units themselves look really impressive. I love the small details as well. After a long battle with your Gundam, you often look worse for wear, with scratches and smoke problems as well. That I just love. The different environments themselves were, for the most part, really nice to look at, with a great sense of scale. Now this is something I wanted to talk on, because even though the SD Gundam is quite small, especially against the real deal Gundam out there, they still had a great sense of height within this game, and it was done really well. The little details of this I just loved, with the little houses, small trees, the little roads as well. Even though you're small, you felt big in this game, and that's not an easy thing, I would imagine, to pull off. I just really loved that part of it. Some levels, however, I found were a little bit bland. So for the most part, most levels were detailed. Like we had levels where you were going through, smashing through houses and having these big boss battles through there, and it kind of made you feel like that King Kong versus Godzilla sort of style. I just loved that. But then you'd have other levels where you'd be in the world of Iron-Blooded Orphans, and yes, I know in Iron-Blooded Orphans, if you watch the series, there are a lot of desert areas which don't have a lot of detail between them, but still, some of the areas you'd be going around like through the sky, or I should say over the actual sand itself, desert sand that is, and you would just feel like it was this, I don't know, there's something missing, it didn't feel quite right. And I think it would have just been better to have, even if they had a couple of burnt out Gundams here or there, it would have just been a little bit better in that particular level. And there were a few other levels that had a similar sort of issue as well. But for the most part, most levels were quite detailed. But yeah, those ones like the Iron-Blooded Orphans I found were a little bit of a letdown and pulled the game down a little bit, in my opinion.
Alright Gundies, it's time for the Gundam Rust tick of approval or cross of death here. I can honestly say that SD Gundam Battle Alliance for the PlayStation 5 gets the Gundam Rust tick of approval. Overall, it wasn't the greatest Gundam game I've ever played, but it was up there as something that was very, very solid. I really enjoyed it. There were times where I did get a little bit bored and was hoping that I could just get it done, and that was the time when I was just trying to go for that platinum trophy. So if you're looking just to complete the game, I'm sure you'll have a lot more fun, because up until that point I was having a good time. But then sometimes when you're going for platinum trophies, a lot of you guys will know that out there, that trophy hunters, things can get a little bit boring if you're trying to go for everything completed. Especially when you have to rehash through a lot of the levels. There were some great things, the game looked, absolutely gorgeous, but then we had certain things, like I said, where some levels were a little bit lackluster, they were lacking detail, they weren't finished off and polished in my opinion, and you had other levels that were fantastic. So I really do hope that we do see another sequel to this game where they can further enhance this and make it better, make levels bigger, make them more immersive, throw some more Gundams in there, make the game longer. By all means, I would love that. And I just can't wait to see what Bandai Namco does with this. Hopefully there were enough sales behind this that they warrant a sequel. I really do hope so. And I'd love to know in the comment section below, guys, what your thoughts are. If you played this game, did you enjoy it? Is it something that you'd recommend? And is there anything that I've missed that you think would have been some valid points? Always love to hear that. Guys, as always, big thank you to all of you for watching. It's just awesome to now be sitting a little bit past 2,300 subs, so thank you everyone for that. We're getting closer to that 2,500 sub mark, and I'm hoping to smash that goal this year, and with your help I'm sure we can do that. Big thank you to my members and my Patreon supporters as well for helping me fund this awesome channel that is Gundam Rust Gaming. Alright guys, as always, please leave me a big thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe, fools. See you later.